opening items, roll call, please.
Director Arthur Perry.
Here.
Director Michael Schaefer.
Here.
Secretary Arlene Schaefer. Vice President Robert Uten. President James Fairman.
President. You know, we've got some, well, obviously two of our board members are not here, and we have another board member's got to leave shortly, so we want to do the action item first, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I would take public comments before we do that. At least take public
yeah, we
comments.
can do that. Yeah, okay. At this time, we got 4, 5. At any rate, got Sondra Jacobs. Would you please go to the podium?
Good morning. Thank you, President Ferryman, members of the board. I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you today. I'm Sondra Jacobs, and I'm currently president of the Santa Margarita Water District. I wanted to first congratulate you on 75 years of autonomy as a special district. I'm here again today because I'm running for the special district seat at LAFCO. And like Costa Mesa Sanitary, Santa Margarita also provides sewer services. And I understand the investment it takes to implement a sewer master plan. But unlike Costa Mesa, Santa Margarita is not threatened by the encroachment of outside influences and special district consolidations, as you witnessed in the 2016 ballot measure TT. The singular focus of a special district like Costa Mesa San is to ensure it delivers maximum benefit to its customers. The importance of this focus can be lost when trying to arbitrarily find potential efficiencies among differing agencies. I'd like to share a little bit about myself, my thoughts regarding LAFCO, and offer you some reasons why I should be considered for your support and your vote at LAFCO. What I bring to LAFCO are fresh ideas and a new outlook. The experience I have with my special district gives me the perspective of the critical importance of special districts and the communities that we serve. I know that LAFCO's 2019-2020 work plan includes spheres of influence, municipal services reviews, and potential annexation of unincorporated areas, and I can bring a fresh perspective to these ideas. As far as LAFCO is concerned, district size doesn't matter. It's our special district's ability to be financially stable and serve our communities while maintaining local control. LAFCO's role, I believe, should be to encourage efficiencies, to help identify services and areas of collaboration that could be shared without impairing an agency's independence and self-governance. And these best practices are the forefront of LAFCO's work plan, and I'll work closely with you on this. Santa Margarita Water District has a long history of working together for the good of the region, and we understand what regional cooperation looks like. And regional cooperation from a LAFCO point of view is important because we've created efficient agencies that maximize our resources. And regional cooperation is even more important when it comes to emergency situations like the earthquakes that we had last week. Understanding that many of the special district and city employees were on vacation for the long weekend, our crews mobilized with our neighboring districts to check each other's water and sewer lines for lacks and cracks and leaks, as well as pump and lift station integrity. And I'm happy to say that all lines are intact. Santa Margarita also reached out to the Ridgecrest area and Kern County special districts, those affected by the earthquake. But I want to be clear that as your special district LAFCO representative, I would not support forced consolidations, annexations, or hostile takeovers, or a reduction in your sphere of influence that could affect the resources to you and your communities. If two agencies want to come together with a plan to better governance, like we did with San Juan Capistrano, the city of San Juan Capistrano, I'll be there to work with my LAFCO colleagues. It will be my goal to ensure that special districts across the county are secure in their place of county governance and service. I've been involved in leadership at ISDOC, Independent Special Districts of Orange County, for over 20 years. I have the support of Supervisor Lisa Bartlett, who is currently the chair of the Board of Supervisors. You have my resume in front of you that has my 23 years of experience. And with that, I will be available for any questions you may have. I would greatly appreciate and be honored with your support and your vote for the Special District LAFCO seat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandra. We'll wait till all the candidates speak before any questions are asked. And who is next is James Fissler.
Good morning, President Ferryman, directors, staff, Jim Fissler, Mesa Water District, where I served on the board for 10 years. And I'm here to ask for your vote for the recently vacated voting seat at OC LAFCO. I believe I'm the best candidate for this position because I have served for the last 8 years the Special District of Orange County as the alternate commissioner at OC LAFCO. I have attended every meeting but one in that period of time. I've sat at the dais for every discussion, every agenda item, and every vote. And I think that shows that I have the most knowledge and the most experience. I sat in the audience for a year before I ran for LAFCO. I think that shows a lot of commitment. When I was sitting in the audience, I observed Director Arlene Schaefer sitting at LAFCO. And she was a resident of Costa Mesa, which is a good thing for our community. We now have an opportunity to put a resident of Costa Mesa, me, into the voting seat at OC LAFCO. I think it is time to come together as a community, to work together, to bury the hatchet, move forward, and vote accordingly for Jim Fissler for the good of our community. I have 20 years of experience in public service, 10 years at Mesa Water, 8+ years at LAFCO. ISDOC president the last 2 years I just finished. I reduced your ISDOC dues from $200 to $50 by renegotiating a contract. At LAFCO, I voted no on the budget. Supervisor Steele voted yes on a 10% increase on the budget. Not Supervisor Steele, excuse me, Bartlett. I must have finally convinced her the next month because I voted no on the salary increases of 17%, and she finally joined me on that. But I've been a financial hawk wherever I've gone. I also served in the city of Costa Mesa as a Parks Commissioner, a Planning Commissioner, the board of the Friends of the Costa Mesa Libraries, the board of the Senior Center, the board of the Chamber of Commerce, and chaired the Finance Committee for 2 years. Additionally, I serve right now on another Orange County commission, which is the Housing and Community Development Commission, where we find permanent housing for veterans, seniors, and families at risk. I've been appointed unanimously twice by the Board of Supervisors for this position. I am endorsed by our local supervisor, Michelle Steele, for this position. I feel I've been a very effective commissioner at OC LAFCO. I helped change the work plan in 2018. There was talk of consolidation. Supervisor Bartlett, you can see in our work plan, said special districts might be taking tax money that cities could use. I said, no, we need to be facilitators, not initiators of any action. We have to back off any consolidations. We haven't seen any hostile consolidations since when I've been there, but I know Mr. Pringle in the late 90s tried to force some consolidations, but was defeated. So I'm asking for your vote for OC LAFCO because I have the most experience, commitment, and knowledge for this position. I'm the only candidate running with any experience at LAFCO. And I'm actually the longest tenured special district commissioner now that Charlie Wilson, after being there for 18 years, the director from Santa Margarita, resigned, and then John Withers of 24 years. So I'm bringing a fresh perspective actually from a smaller district to serve at OC LAFCO. And I thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Doug Davert.
Well, good morning, directors. It's a pleasure to be here again. Doug Davert, President, East Orange County Water District, also the Vice Chairman of Orange County LAFCO. First of all, Mike and Art, you weren't at, I don't think, I saw you at the Sand District last month. We had the privilege of honoring Jim for his 30 years of service. I don't know if you know or not, but I had the honor of serving as Jim's Vice Chairman when he was Chairman of that board. So, Jim, again, thank you, and that was a great evening and a great tribute.
Yeah, but usually memorial services are after they're gone. It was nice they did something while he's still alive.
That's okay. I've got a headstone at the Sand District, so we plan ahead over there. We're both on the dead guy wall already, so we're good. But I am here tonight. As you know, I am endorsing Jim Fissler. I've had the privilege of working with him during my tenure at LAFCO, and I will tell you, I'm very sensitive to your political differences and the history that you've had with Jim. I get it. But I will tell you that on behalf of special districts, he's been a great vote. He did help us change the work plan. He did help us change the policies and procedures to make LAFCO friendlier to special districts and take away some of the mission creep that was, as we head into the MSR process, threatened the independence of special districts. And he was stalwart in that. He said something tonight that really caught my attention. I will tell you, as a former mayor and a former councilman in the city of Tustin, where I still live, it is not lost on my city manager or my city council that the city of Tustin has 2 of the 7 voting seats at LAFCO right now. Me as a resident, and Dr. Alan Bernstein from my city council also is serving. As we head into the MSR process where spheres are determined, services are determined, that's powerful. The city of Mission Viejo currently holds the alternate city seat, and with the election of Director Jacobs would then also have 2 seats on LAFCO. Costa Mesa would have 0. And I do appreciate the fact that since Arlene was on, I don't believe Costa Mesa has had representation at LAFCO in a voting seat. Jim's done a great job as the alternate, but he doesn't get to vote very often. So my pitch to you today would be, first of all, again, despite your political differences, he's a good vote for you and a good supporter of your special district. 2, this is an opportunity for Costa Mesa to get the vote. So I would urge you tonight, this afternoon or this morning, I guess it's still really early, to cast your vote in favor of the city of Costa Mesa rather than the city of Mission Viejo. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. I'm going to call on Jim later on the agenda, Jim Moser. So just sit tight and we'll get you up here. When does the our decision have to be July 17th? Okay, that's what I thought it was.
I believe it's the 19th, by 3 o'clock on the 19th.
Yeah.
It's Friday.
We, as you know, we have 2 members not present, and I had the opportunity to talk to one, and I haven't had the opportunity to talk to the other one. So I'm going to hold off recommending or casting the ballot until I talk to that person.
The fact that we need to take some action, do we, I think it behooves us, at least at this point, to authorize you to cast that vote.
Yeah, is that?
I agree. I think you need to talk to both the other people that aren't here
Right.
today, board members. Because we have 2 great candidates. It's going to be a difficult
No,
decision.
they're both,
You really-
couldn't ask for better.
So I would like to see what you suggest. You talk to both directors, and then you, as he's the president makes the final vote, right? So I would think that you make the final vote after you talk with both.
Okay,
And
we
it's due
make a
on the-
motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Obviously, I'll second.
Any discussion?
No, so when does President Fairman have to get that vote to you?
19th.
Or they have to have it in their hand by the 19th? Okay, so we should probably make it earlier. That
Yeah,
could be like
I'm
one
not going to
week.
wait around that whole time.
I think that's,
I don't have a problem with that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you both for coming and your tremendous assets to your communities, and hopefully you'll be one to us. Okay, let's move along. Items of study. We're going to introduce our new wastewater maintenance staff.
Thank you, Mr. President. Steve Connor will be introducing two of our newest wastewater maintenance employees.
Good morning, everyone. I'm excited. We are at full staff again, and I'd like to introduce two of our new maintenance workers. We have John Merlot. He's been with us for about a month. He recently got his grade 1 in collections. And we also have Mike Gomez. He started with us yesterday. He'll be working for his grade 1, and we'll be working with their California Class B license soon. So I'm excited. You know, we can continue providing the services for our community. Thank you.
Welcome, guys.
Appreciate it.
I have a question, though. Do they know the haircut policy? I think
Mike's already got
Mike's got it.
That was cold.
Just kidding.
it. You could run for the board of directors.
Oh, God. Okay, yes, welcome new staff.
Right.
I think you'll enjoy working here.
Hey, Steve, get him back to work, would you?
Okay, June 2019 Code Enforcement Officer Report, and that might be Ed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Ed Roberts will be giving this report.
That'd be Eddie.
Good morning, President Ferryman and members of the Costa Mesa Sanitary District Board. Ed Roberts, your District Code Enforcement Officer. I'll be presenting the June 2019 Code Enforcement Officer Report. Ladies and gentlemen, for the month of June 2019, during the course of the month, I conducted 4 proactive scavenging investigations while on patrol throughout the city of Costa Mesa. Observed and detected 4 instances of people rummaging through residential trash carts. For the benefit of the board, I put a synopsis in the report and some maps to better orient you as to the locations. At the back of the presentation, you'll also see an overall map of Costa Mesa itself. You'll see that the scavenging instances were concentrated primarily on the west end, south side. And I did have one instance over on 282 East Wilson Street. None of these instances were of any note. They were fairly, benign contacts with no feedback, no pushback or anything like that. Locations were at 694 Governor Street, 2234 Rutgers Drive, 2113 Thurin Street, and 282 East Wilson. Do any of you have any questions regarding the? Yes, sir.
On Thurin, is that the first time you've had a report on Thurin?
Sir, that was actually not the first time I've actually had a contact on Thurin. I had one right at the corner of Ralcom and Thurin, right there. That area, especially right along the Victoria corridor, has a concentration of folks going up and down the street that are doing the recycling activity.
Ed, did you have any, the alley off of Baker Street, or between Royal Palm and Harbor, behind
Yes.
a certain office?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm aware of that area. The problem with that area, sir, is there's a lot of access from the actual alleyway itself onto Royal Palm.
Royal Palm.
Yeah. So with a marked car, most people throw the cart and just run, and we're not going to engage in a foot pursuit.
You and I have had these conversations before, but there's a couple of regulars that go up and down that alleyway, especially the part behind the doctor's offices that are near Deodar.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And they're the same folks. It's really difficult because they have to open the gates to get into those enclosures, pull the bins out to go through them.
Right, sir.
And I don't know. It just seems like that's a hard one to nail down for you, I'm sure. Like you said, they know your car.
They know the car, sir. Also, I'm sure you're painfully aware there's a couple garage units that are friendly locations to the folks. So I've had it happen on many instances where.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, sir. So what ends up happening is the individual will probably scoot into a garage and just close the door behind them. At that point, it's easier for me to take the debris and put it back into the trash cart or into the bin and move the cart out of the way and just clear the scene.
It seems like that alleyway area is really different from the alleys over on the east side.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's, the alleys on the east side are attached to single-family homes. So that probably has some difference in what's going on, whereas the alley off of Baker is all multi-family units.
Yes,
right?
sir. And what you'll find the difference between the east side location and the west side location is the Royal Palm Alley, for example, abuts to Harbor Boulevard. So what you have is a de facto pedestrian kind of causeway through the alley, as opposed to being out on Harbor Boulevard and very visible. Whereas the east side alleys tend to stretch about 3-4 blocks, are primarily residential areas with no arterial around them that would attract them.
You know who those I mean,
I do,
there's
sir.
one guy in particular.
I
know what I'm talking
I know quite a few of the folks here.
I know you do. Thanks.
No problem, sir. Any of the board members have any questions regarding the scavenger report?
Any, Art? No.
All right, sir.
When you get the containers, I do.
Pardon me, sir?
When you get to the carts.
Okay, very good. And moving on, for the month of June, a series of 89 warning notices were issued to residential locations in our city.
Are there any reoccurring?
Yes, sir. Yeah, quite a few more reoccurring, but there's a time frame that we give for me to consider it a reoccurrence. If there's within the span of a month, if we have a violation, then it'll be considered a secondary violation to the primary. These are sporadic violations. Again, a reoccurrence within a 3-month window or so. I'll just treat it as a first offense again, as opposed to going through the whole possibility of citing. Yeah. And moving on from that, no instances of graffiti affixed to any of our trash containers. Most folks take it upon themselves to scrub down the trash cart. If we do come across graffiti on one of our trash carts, it's easier to notify the homeowner and CR&R and just have the cart swapped out. But I haven't had any instances of graffiti on a trash cart that's resulted in any kind of enforcement beyond assisting the resident to get a cart swapped out. And once again, to the rear, to the end of the report is just an at-a-glance map for the benefit of the board, so you can get an idea where these instances are happening.
Kind of tag a question on the graffiti situation. Maybe I'll direct this to PARS if it's okay. Your drivers report to us if they're picking up cans that are in bad shape. I mean, not just graffiti, but I'm sure some residents have cans that need to definitely be replaced. Do your drivers take any notice of that?
So, I mean, if they have like an operational issue with the car, the drivers do take notice, and they'll refer it to their operations manager or somebody on our side to schedule a car exchange.
Okay.
But we're talking about something that's like functionally, makes like the wheels broken, it makes it challenging, or the lid is, something of that sort. Now, if they have graffiti, as far as I know, the drivers will never report that.
I would think the biggest case of graffiti would be some residents like to put their address, they spray paint their address on the cans.
That's what they accept.
Oh, it is?
So like our drivers will.
You're giving me license to go home and graffiti my car.
Let me rephrase that. The drivers will not, report that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty common occurrence. I see that regularly too.
Okay.
To help distinguish, whose car is whose.
Okay.
Just to follow up on PARS, with the trash carts, for me to report an instance, the district, like me personally as a staff member, I'll take ownership over that one. We'll call and folloll up with CR&R and sometimes repeatedly to get the cart swapped out, because their opinion of it versus our opinion of it is normally the same. If it's minute, not really the end of the world if somebody scratched their numerals on there. But me being a former gang investigator, I always see that's a billboard for a lot of folks to scratch gang names on there, so it's in the best interest of the community for blight purposes to get that swapped out and out of there, so it doesn't be broken window theory type stuff.
I would think they could find a bigger landscape.
Yes, sir,
like
but they will tag whatever they can.
Yeah, really. You know that from experience?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
One other question about
yes, sir.
large items on the sidewalk.
Yes, sir.
People just put out there. Have you noticed an increase in that?
You know what, sir? I know the city of Costa Mesa does their annual, large item pickups, which normally attracts a colossal amount of debris out on the roadways and parkways. We erroneously will get the complaints filed through our system because people assume they equate trash to this, obviously the sanitation district, where we'll just take it and we'll handle the complaint by following up with city staff to get that removed.
So do you call the city staff?
I do, sir. Yeah, I have a counterpart over at the city hall end of things, and it's a lot easier just to make a phone call, open a case on it ourselves, and then we'll just, I guess concurrently, we'll both track it to make sure it's resolved.
Okay. Because I've seen an increase this last month.
It just, based off of my experience here, it'll always be the first of the month when people are either being evicted or relocating, or there's always something to have it coincide with a life event. That's normally you'll see it.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
And you didn't work last Friday. That wasn't your scheduled day, right? Day after 4th, the 5th?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Pars, do you, and I apologize, let me go back to Pars. Day after the 4th of July, obviously, a lot of folks leave debris in the streets. I'm not sure where I'm going with this, except that I've noticed a lot of stuff just left. I mean, some people shooting out fireworks aren't the most responsible people in town. Do you guys let us know? How does that work? Or because there was no street sweeping on the 5th because because of the holiday pushing the trash out. So maybe that's something, Scott, we need to talk to the city about, letting us know that. Is there a problem? Is there a lot of stuff that is on the street?
I didn't notice that much because I was up early the next morning.
Oh, well, that's good.
And I thought I saw a street sweeper.
Then.
There's a street sweeper in my area. Maybe not yours, but.
You got the street sweeper?
No, it's my cousin. No, I'm just kidding.
So, anyway, Scott, when you meet with the city on that, if they have any feedback on what was left on the streets, I'd be curious. Thanks.
I imagine on our end, the drivers will service what's curbside within the carts. If there's something that's an obstruction, they may try to move it or drive around it.
Honestly, I'd made this comment to you before. At least the driver in my neighborhood is really good about if there's something like a resident leaves a bag out that we're not obligated to pick up, your driver gets out and picks up that bag. And I think your drivers do a really good job about taking care of those things. So I'm just curious if they saw any increase in debris.
And you're right about that. I've seen some properties that will have like a bag of trash on top of the car while I'm driving by, and I'll swing by just let them know that, you can call in for an additional cart, or, at least save it for next week's load. But they'll tell me the driver will just service it. So they've been doing that as a tradition.
I saw that in my neighborhood last Friday because we were delayed a day. Someone had left the top of their cart open, and they had the big cart, right? There was a car sticking out. One of those, a car, like you would buy a toddler, one of those Barbie cars, sticking out. I mean, half the car was sticking out the top. And I thought, your poor driver, maybe he's going to, recycle it and put it in his, maybe he's got a toddler he could give it to. I don't know. But it's funny what people put on their trash can.
I imagine in that case he tagged it as well.
It's probably at the Salvation Army now.
Okay, any more questions, comments?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Good report. Organics tonnage report.
Just available to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Not, let's move along to solid waste diversion report.
Just again, available to answer any questions you may have.
Anybody?
That's good.
Okay. We already did the action
You
items.
have one comment. You have one person for a comment, Mr. Moser.
Yeah, no, I know. I've got that right here. Jim, would you like to address?
One question before Jim starts. What was our diversion rate this last month? I didn't see it listed.
Cumulative, it was 61.58, but it does not include OCC's recycling center
That's good.
numbers.
And theirs is normally 1 point something, isn't it? So that's good.
Thank you, President Ferriman, members of the board. My name, as you know, is Jim Moser, and I did want to comment on the solid waste diversion report. I did, though, also want to comment on the earlier action item about the LAFCO appointment, and I may not have understood quite what you as a board are required to do, and I may not have understood the motion, but I believe if the board as a whole is choosing what name should be selected on the ballot, there could be a Brown Act issue if you don't hold a public meeting to actually do that voting, so the public will see who voted for who to be chosen on the ballot. And I'm not sure I heard that clearly articulated in the motion. Regarding the solid waste diversion report, you have this month, as I pointed out at your last board meeting, the report for the entire fiscal year ending on June 30th, showing a claim diversion rate, as we just heard, of 61.58%, which could be usefully compared, perhaps, with the report you had for the previous fiscal year to see if there's been any change. But as I've tried to point out before, I would strongly caution you to put much credence at all in the reports and the numbers that you're seeing here. In the report, if you have a copy to look at, you will see on it some lines that appear to be real numbers. There's a line listed organics ****. The numbers change from month to month. I believe those are the actual tonnages collected from the carts with the green lids. Those are your organic program. There's some other lines here that appear to be real numbers. There's the Christmas trees that were picked up in January. There's the large item pickups that vary from month to month. And there's the textile donation events. There's also a line at the very bottom of this called the total CR&R tonnage, which I believe is the amount of trash that was taken out of the mixed carts. That also varies from month to month, and I think is a real number. Everything else that is in here, as you probably understand, including the amount that's claimed to go to the landfill and the amount that's claimed to be recycled, is all based on what one might call fake numbers. That total CR&R tonnage taken from the mixed carts is multiplied by some fixed percentages. Those percentages come from what's called a characterization, and as you've heard in years past, the characterization consists of a sample from a couple of loads, as I understand it, of trash being dumped in the Stanton parking lot. Somebody goes through those by hand and figures out theoretically how much of that could be recycled. That may or may not have any relation to the amount that actually is recycled. And in fact, Mr. Ruffridge at your last meeting told you that CR&R has increasingly little incentive to recycle the trash. It's cheaper to take it to the landfill. And one does know how much of the amount coming out of the MRF is going to the landfill. That's CR&R has to pay for that. That's documented. But how much of that is coming from this district, one really doesn't know. So I would again ask you to look more seriously at this report, to ask where this characterization came from. They seem to vary considerably. Your previous year's report was saying that, for instance, it was collecting like 180 tons of newspapers every month. That number has now gone down to 2 or 3. Probably doesn't reflect anything about the characteristics of what people in Costa Mesa are doing, but there was something odd about the characterization that this is based on, or the one that the previous year was based on, which I think was many years in the past. So again, since you're having study sessions, I would recommend you study again where this is coming from and whether it has any meaning at all, including the percentage that is based on those rather strange numbers. Thank you.
You know, I think we've asked CR&R to do a new characterization. Am I right with that?
Well, Mr. President, we were planning on addressing all Mr. Moser's concerns. We just didn't bring it today because we don't have a full board meeting. So we're working on it, and we'll bring it back in August.
Yeah. So, you know, we're addressing that issue. Okay, let's move along. Closing items, oral communications, and director comments.
No. Anything?
Anything?
Did we take care of Monrovia? Did we take care of Monrovia? Or is that?
No, we did not.
Okay.
We did not.
Did we take care of Monrovia? Do we know anything?
Monday was a regular pickup day, so I didn't hear anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Nabila, did Scott tell you that?
I didn't tell her.
Oh.
Because it was a result, we thought it was a result, because
I'm just trying to figure out why. I know why he called late, but it's the same guy, and I just don't want that to become a problem again. So, whatever. 1846 Monrovia Pars.
Thank you, candidates, for joining us and sharing a little morning. Good luck to both of you, and this meeting is adjourned.